o'clock today. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Elie on becoming limitless. Can I please get a gratitude clap? Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. It always blows me away to see that people actually want to hear what I have to say. So thank you for showing up today. So I have a few things that I'd like to talk to you about. And because this community is so dear to my heart, and it's something that I've done for decades, I really want to go back to some of the things that influenced me and then spend a little time talk about the program that I run that I call Limitless Human. Now, longevity. We've been hearing so much about this term, biohacking, optimization, this, that. Now, when I think of longevity, I don't know what you think about that, but let me tell you my interpretation. Immediately when I think of longevity, I don't think of living longer. I don't know if you agree with me, yes or no, right? So when I think of longevity, I think of the basics. And therefore, my program runs around the basics. So what inspired me to be part of this community and do what I do? I'm going to run you a little bit through my journey. I'm going to go just through the highlights that are relevant to the experience that I share with people whenever I am helping them with one issue or another, or working holistically head to toe about their health. So I'll go back that far. When I was 3 years old, the war in Lebanon started. And I grew up in a place where incredible scarcity was around. I saw things as a teenager that was very difficult to bring back, but recently I've been bringing it back quite a bit because I realized that I could not become the person that I want to be unless I worked out my traumas. And I didn't realize the kind of trauma that I was carrying with me because of that experience. So I say the title of my presentation, Becoming Limitless, but I'm not sure that's correct. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's not correct because you cannot become limitless. I firmly believe you are already limitless. It's like someone seeking to become more conscious. You are already there. You are already, whatever you need is already inside of you. What we do is make micro decisions on a day-to-day basis that set us back. Or we choose to ignore things such as trauma that hold us back. We have people in our circles that perhaps hold us back too. So constantly choosing not to make the right decisions as far as the basics in our lives. After that, I was smuggled out of the country before the age of 18. I think I was 16 or 17, because around that age, that was the age when they would recruit people to become part of whoever was doing what. Yeah? So from one country to another, ended up in the UK, schooling, college, became a teacher. I actually have some of my students here today. And then went on to do a PhD, went on to teach at universities, went on to go to Harvard, and then after that, I went into building my own business in education. That business ran for about 12 years and did incredibly well, but I was not happy. Now, throughout that journey, from the age of 13 to 14, when I was experiencing all of that trauma around me that I realized later, I knew why I was so much into physical fitness, so much into keeping myself healthy. It was self-preservation. I only realized that almost 50 years later. It was self-preservation that I did my first muscle up, for example, when I was 14 or 15. It was self-preservation that I wanted to be able to be as strong as possible throughout my life. So as I was going through my journey, especially as an entrepreneur, I began challenging myself more and more because I always felt as if I was at risk of I don't know what. So with that, I began climbing mountains, scaling rock faces, ice climbing, marathons close to 50. I ran my body almost to the ground, and I began to look at other ways of optimizing what I do. Now, through that, I began to discover certain modalities and certain, I want to call them tools, because this is exactly what they are. When you walk around outside right now, everyone is telling you this is it. Wherever you stop at every booth, this is all you need. From then on, you're going to live forever, you're going to be the healthiest. These are tools. If you're not working on the basics, if you don't build a good muscular skeletal structure, more importantly, if you don't work on your mind, if you do not have a good supportive community around you, super important. Because with that also comes happiness. If you do not understand the link between your gut and mind, you should look into that. And finally, sleep. People tell me I speak about sleep way too much, but I don't think you can speak too much about sleep. The problem is that the way we quantify it is not perhaps the right way as far as I'm concerned. When we think of sleep, we think of the amount of hours that we need to be sleeping. For me, what I found through my experience, it is the quality of sleep that is far more important than the quantity of it. And in anything that you have, there isn't a one-size-fits-all. If I tell you 7 hours, if I tell you 10,000 steps, if I tell you try ice baths, if I tell you hyperbaric chamber is your lifesaver, none of them are true individually. It is a lifestyle. And this is how I ended up building Limitless Human around. So when I sold my business about 7 or 8 years ago, I felt empty. I was strong, I was healthy, my mind wasn't in the right place, and I wanted to know anything there is to know about health and optimization and recovery. So I did anything and everything that I could put my hands on. Any certification, when it comes to yoga teaching, PT, breath work. And then I went on into retreating into a small farm that I had in Connecticut in the US, where I thought, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be off the grid, and this is how I want to live my life. I realized very quickly that it's not as easy as you think. When you wake up in the morning and you see half your chickens being eaten by a fox, it's quite traumatizing. It's not an easy life to live off the grid. So from that, I began to explore a little bit more about what is it that I truly want to do. I combined then the two, my education background and my unbelievable passion for health and fitness. So from there, I did some more training in osteopathy. And right now, I'm doing one of the first longevity practitioner certification out of Geneva, because, believe it or not, we're speaking about longevity so much, there isn't any official training for longevity. It's such an ambiguous term for a lot of us because it's been thrown around so easily. And the healthcare, as great as it is, the healthcare system, as great as it is right now, it, for the large part, unless we're talking functional, integrative, for the large part, it could only fix what is wrong with you. This is what they do best, and we need that for sure. But what is the revolution that is happening right now that I feel I'm part of is people taking charge of their lives. And one of the key elements that is going to help that is AI. not needing to be sick in order for you to be the best that you can be. To realize that if I work on the basics, if I work on my mind, my body, the gut, and my recovery, I could live the healthiest life possible. Our bodies are made to live a lot longer than our environment dictates. You've heard the expression, we are the product of our environment. And also, as a result of that, our biology dictates our reality. If you're healthy, you see things in a better light. If you're not, if you feel in danger, everything seems to be dangerous around you or a threat. So, becoming limitless is just unlocking certain things that are already within you. And the way I do this is I ask people, what is your goal? What is it that you want to do? A couple of them would tell me, I want to be what you do or do what you do. And that's really hard. You cannot be as someone else. You need to work on the influences that you have in your life. What are the things that are influencing your internal environment and your external environment? Measure, adjust, test, and move on. And repeat. It's as simple as that. You say it's simple, but it's a lifestyle. It is micro decisions that you do on a day-to-day basis. So when I set up to do the Limitless Human program, I said I want to be able to understand all of the biomarkers of the individual, something that I do myself. I was able to bring down my biological age by up to 20 years. So right now I'm 53. My biological age is 35. And you hear that quite often from certain people at the moment that I've been able to do that, which is amazing. So people are paying attention to their epigenome and understanding the age of their cells. So what I do for myself is that I go through once a year, twice a year, depending on the test that I'm doing, sometimes every 3 months, where I understand what's happening in my blood, in my system. I understand what my epigenome, the software of my body is doing. What am I switching on? What am I switching off? And then religiously, actually, I say religiously because it appears that way to other people. To me, it's just another day. When I wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning and I do my run and then the gym and then my breath work and then my stretching and I start my work at 8:30, this is normal for me. I seem like a freak to other people. That's okay. But to me, this is normal. This is a way of life for me. So if you choose to be healthy, you need to turn it into a lifestyle. Because there's a huge difference between motivation and discipline. If I were to choose between the two, it's always discipline that wins. If you have motivation, it's going to wane. You do a New Year resolution, and then a month later you stop with the gym membership that you paid thousands for. Motivation only gets you to a place where you need to turn it into discipline. So what I do as far as my sleep, as far as my workouts, as far as the food that I choose, I try not to put myself in a position where I have to pick something off a shelf when I'm hungry. When you're hungry, when you are at your weakest, you make the worst decisions ever. So there isn't a point where you think to yourself, I'm starving, I'm going to look for the healthiest salad around to eat it. You'll stop at a gas station, you'll go to a fast food, whatever. So I plan a little bit. And it becomes the norm. In the same way that you don't think about getting hungry later, I don't think about letting that happen to me. I just make sure that I am prepared. My bag always have my favorite snacks that are healthy for me. So When I test from the individuals, and these are some of the tests that we do: epigenome, gut test, blood test, and then I go on to do some other things, such as VO2 max, thermography, we do a body composition, and then we do an alignment assessment for the body. Because if I'm going to ask you to do a massive variety of workouts, because that's an essential part of the program, I need you to understand if your body has any weaknesses that may stop you from doing the variety of exercise I'm going to ask you to do. So when it comes to exercising, for me, I get asked questions such as, which is better for me? Should I be doing cardio, or should I be lifting weights? Should I be doing functional training, or should I be doing high intensity exercising? What do you think the answer to that is? All of the above. A little bit of everything is very important. Your body is intricate. And then I say, let's take a step back. Sit less, walk more. Start there for me. When you're at the mall and you are standing at an escalator going up, step up on the escalator, walk through it. If there's a way for you to use the stairs instead of an elevator, making these mindful decisions to keep moving constantly. My favorite is the airport. You're going on a flight, usually 6, 7, 8, sometimes, if you're going to the US, for example, 12, 13 hours. The moment you reach the airport, you look for the first seat you can find, even though you're going to be sitting for 12, 13 hours on the plane. Instead of making sure that you're moving around, that your lymphatic system is open, that you are, boosting your circulation a little bit so you could survive the harsh journey that is ahead of you, be it on your back, be it the radiation, be it the stuff that will happen from your gut if you're eating on the plane, and so on. So I take them back and I say, forget about the workout. Start with that first. Because everyone, unfortunately, is looking for a shortcut. And some of the stuff that you find here promise that. You will definitely sleep better if you take this. You will definitely feel more energized if you do that. Peptides, stem cells, bioregulators, this, that, as if they're going to be the end of all. None of them matter unless your foundation, you are in homeostasis. If you are not there, none of this matter. If you're not strong mentally and physically and your gut is healthy, it doesn't matter what you do from any of those tools, let's call them. They're not going to help you. So we start with the building an avatar, if you like, of the person. Every aspect of their person. From mind, as I said, from head to toe. And then from there, we begin to formulate a plan for them. The plan is not super important because you can go into ChatGPT right now and say, can you put a 5-day workout routine for me? I am 53 years old, I'm fairly fit, give me a 5-day workout that is varied. It will spit it out for you exactly, maybe a little bit better than I can do it. What I offer is AI cannot offer, which is accountability. Teaching them how to be disciplined about their health. Shifting their mindset towards health and removing the barriers that are holding them back from getting to that point. So it is much simpler than we think. And if you look back at the choices that you've made, when you feel weak, when you are sick, when you feel a little overweight, and you seem surprised about it, you shouldn't be. These are micro decisions that you've made that led you here. And once you are there and you're feeling depressed and you're feeling overweight and you're not happy with what you're doing, because of this, I don't sleep, my work is too much, this, that, excuses. I love them. We're so good at them. Once you are there, you want to get to the other side as quickly as possible. How can I lose 10 kilos in 3 weeks? All these Ozempic, all of the shortcuts that people do and then realize it was such a bad mistake and have to do it all over again in a very different way. So for me, if there's a place to start, it would be where you are in your head right now. So when I lost both my parents within a few months of each other, I was in my mid-20s, that kind of propelled me even forward towards, how did that happen? They both died of cancer, by the way. So I felt, if both my parents, that means it's very likely that this is happening to me. And then I looked at their environment. I looked at what they were exposed for. They were, for the majority of their lives, worried about our safety. They were worried about its basic survival that they had to worry about. We are the product of our environment. Remove stuff, people, places that are not good for you. Nothing, or there isn't a single thing that doesn't leave an impression on you. There isn't a person that you meet that doesn't leave an impression on you. And the same applies to trauma. We think of trauma, were you abused as a child? Did I have an abusive partner? Did I go through some experience that was horrible? Some of the ones that I've had. These are all okay, but we fail to notice that trauma that happens to people next to us are transferred to us too. There are even studies that suggest that trauma that your parents went through before you, even your grandparents, are passed on to you. And there is even passive trauma. You're walking down the street and you witness an accident. Total stranger, you don't know them. That becomes part of your trauma. Because your body is designed, your mind is designed to keep you safe. So whenever it feels there's a situation where there could be danger for you, either now or in the future, it stores it in order to protect you. So, and sometimes because of the experience that we have around us, they become the operating system of the decisions that we make. We self-harm sometimes. We know that sugar is not good for us, and for so many reasons. It feeds cancer cells. It's terrible for all sorts of stuff. Yet, we still eat it in large amounts. The majority of us. I could see some heads shaking. The majority of us do. Why is that? I need you to ask yourself, why do I do that? Find out the underlying reason. Saying something like, I like it, is not enough. Understand the real reason behind that you're doing something that you know is harmful for you. So after we test, we then build the programs, and the programs are basically in 4 layers. We build a supplement program that is based on their deficiencies only, because don't get me started on the supplement industry. We're all over supplemented. You seriously do not need 120 supplement pills every morning in order for you to not die. You will die no matter what. Yeah? You don't need to take the plasma of a child for you to become healthier. And I don't want to say my favorite, but the most horrifying for me, you do not need to take someone else's excrement to refertilize your own microbiome. The extremes that we go through are just ridiculous, while we miss the things that are right there in front of us. The 4 basic things. Work on your musculoskeletal system. It is the system that will prevent you from being carried to the bathroom when you are 60 or 65 or 70. It will stop you from, it's about dignity, if nothing else. Yeah? So, starting there, moving on into, as I said, your gut. And the thing is about our bodies, they're so amazing, is when you begin working on one aspect, the others start falling in line and they start to come together. Trust it. It is an amazing, amazing tool that you have. When we put the programs together after supplementation, we then do a workout routine, a nutritional plan that is fairly general because we allow people to kind of decide on the things that they would like to have. And then most importantly for me, I put together a recovery protocol for them. I then put together specifically for their own body type, age, activity level, and so on. I kind of guide them on how much contrast therapy should you be exposed to. How much movement, meaning active recovery, should you be doing? And then the tools come into play. You're having an off day, I can lift you up by doing an ice bath. But that's as far as ice baths go. For me. We go crazy over ice bath, we go crazy over sauna. They're all amazing. But they are tools. So, in the program itself, I did not reinvent the wheel. All I did is look at my life, look at the things that have truly worked for me, and I put them together. But what I do regularly is I stay on top of everything that is happening within the community. And then there was one thing that I realized when I was doing this is that I realized that no one speaks for the region. When I was following all the greats, every real YouTube, what have you, podcast, 70% of Americans go through this. And I'm thinking, am I in America? Would that fit? Does that apply to me? Is my air the same? Do they have as much dust as we do? Does the energy between the sea and the desert, are they exposed to the same thing? Do we have as much ultra-processed foods as some other countries do? Do they consume as much extra virgin olive oil as much as I do? Do they love hummus as much as I do? Are their diets Mediterranean and so full of all sorts of other and wonderful rounded menus? So I began to move away from that, and especially wanting to reach people that perhaps don't understand or their English is not great. So I make it my mission also to do stuff in Arabic. So I don't know how many Arabic speakers are in here in the room. Can you? Quite a few. That's amazing. Yeah. So maybe next time we'll do something in Arabic for us. So with the recovery modalities, there's also a lot of, not misinformation, because everyone has the right intention. Everyone wants to help. But unfortunately, when it comes to social media, it is all about clickbait. It's all about shock. They want you to stay more than the first 3 seconds. So broccolis are bad for you. That's how the reel starts. And you think to yourself, what? I've been eating broccolis for the last 10 years. Everyone is telling me it's great. So we need to calm down a little bit. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. And then, as I said, just going back to the basics. There isn't anything that we can't do if you truly put your mind to it. And when you think of your own priority list, the stuff that you value the most, if I were to ask you in a list right now to write down the 3 most important things, like the number 1 most important that you will never falter on, skip, or put on the side for later. If your health is not at the top 3, if your health is not in the top 3, you are not doing the right thing. And I go as far as saying, if it's not number 1, you're doing something very wrong. Truly number one. Because no one here is going to say, I don't care about my health. We all do. Except that all you need to do is remember just if you stump your toe and how your day ends up. So I'm not talking about describing it as something important, but truly making it a priority, unwavering when it comes to it. One of the key exercises or practice that I have is entering a flow space. Who knows what a flow space is here? I'm sure quite a few people do. Amazing. Amazing. So I do that on a regular basis. It's what keeps me grounded. For those of you who don't know what flow space is, a flow space is when you are fully immersed in whatever it is that you are doing. Imagine the power behind you being completely present in no matter what you're doing. You're chopping lettuce. You are there fully. And then there is a sense of energy that is passed through you because of that. The universe rewards you in incredible ways when you are in a flow space. So I encourage anyone that I work with, and something that I do myself, even when I'm driving, I make sure I'm feeling the steering wheel. I am there as often as I possibly can. There's been a lot of talk about chronological versus biological age, and people get sometimes confused when it comes to this. So it's quite simple. In the last 10 to 15 years, we've discovered that we're not necessarily bound to our DNA 100%. Because we have something that controls it, a software, if you like, our epigenome. And our epigenome controls certain aspects, and whatever we change through our own lifetime can be passed on to our offsprings even. How amazing is that? So you're not just passing on knowledge, the wisdom of the ages, how to tie their shoes, but you're also giving them a better genes for your next generation. That's perhaps one of my favorite things in what I do. Because what I love hearing is people being influenced just by seeing stuff that I do. I love that I'm able to influence my kids to be healthier without speaking to them about it. I love that if I'm sitting in front of someone, they sit up straight without me asking them to. I love that I'm able to influence people in a way that is great for them. So, for biological age, the test simply tests the age of your cells, and it compares it to your chronological age. Now, your cells are either aging at the same rate as your chronological time, or slower, or faster. So far, almost everyone that joined the program are aging faster. That means they are leaving years on the table because of their diet, their sleep, their recovery, their workout routines, the stresses of their lives, their environment, and all of the stuff that we talked about. Measure.